What is up, YouTube family? This is your boy Chris from One Man's Journey, coming at you with my 2 cents on it. Full disclaimer, I am a complete wuss when it comes to scary movies. My wife even has pictures of me hiding up underneath the blanket during one of the Insidious movies because I don't play that type of crap. Because it was such an interesting film and a pretty good adaptation of the original, I thought I would give you my 2 cents on it. Again, full disclaimer, there will be spoilers, obviously. So the film is set in the late 80s, and it starts off with it being a really dark and nasty day out, and you see a little kid and his older brother making a paper sailboat. The older brother's name is Billy, and the younger brother's name is Georgie. So Billy is helping Georgie make a paper sailboat, but can't go with him to go let it sail down the road because he's sick. Also, this will play into the movie later on, but Billy has a stutter. So Billy tells Georgie that he needs some wax to make the paper stiffen so it'll sail down the road better. Of course, like all scary movies, the stuff that somebody needs is in the basement. So little Georgie goes down to the basement. Of course, the power doesn't work. The lights don't turn on. Only freaking white people do this kind of shit in scary movies. Of course he goes down anyway, without an adult, without parental supervision, without saying, hey, big bro, the light's out, I'm kind of scared because I'm 5 and that's totally normal. No, he just goes down there anyway. You get a cheap little jump scare because of thunder and all that kind of stuff. So he goes off and he starts sailing his boat, and he runs into a little sign by accident. And that's when the paper boat, the infamous scene where it sails into the sewer. And then you see Pennywise for the first time. And holy crap, Pennywise is so creepy, but it's very hard to explain. It's kind of, to me, it's almost like a scarier version of the Joker in The Dark Knight, because since that movie, I've never been so freaked out, but so compelled by the main villain in a movie. So Pennywise is definitely creepy, and he's basically enticing the kid to come with him, telling him, you'll float too, it's a circus. What else did he say? He says all kinds of crazy stuff. Probably the most graphic scene in the movie is this part, because what happens is he finally convinces Georgie to take the sailboat from him. When he reaches his arm in, and Pennywise's face gets all distorted looking, and he actually bites the kid's arm off. I did not see that coming at all. I was expecting him just to drag him in. No, they show a kid's arm getting bit off, clean off in the movie. Like I said, that's probably the most graphic part, and definitely the most shocking to me, because I did not see that coming. So obviously he takes him into the sewer. Flash forward, it's the end of the school year for the rest of the kids. And then this is kind of where you meet each kid individually and kind of get their backstory for the Losers Club. That's what they're called. And one thing I didn't expect from this movie that I was kind of surprised by, and it was kind of refreshing, even though I don't do scary movies, there was no let up for probably the first, after the original scene, there was probably no let up on some scary stuff for at least a good 45 minutes. So what I mean by that is, you get the backstory with the kids, and then they're all separated one by one, so you can get kind of more of an idea of their backstory. But it's like back to back to back to back, all scary stuff. Like, you see one kid, he's getting ready for his bar mitzvah. He's reading from the Torah. He has to go into a room by himself, but there's this painting of this really distorted figure-looking woman that he's super afraid of. All of a sudden, of course, lights flicker, all this other stuff. He turns around and she's right there, and he, barely escapes. So that was really creepy. It's basically, it goes each kid one by one. Like, one kid follows this other kid in the library. He's got his head blown off from an explosion that happened like 100 years ago. And then Pennywise winds up chasing him. It's like I said, there's really no let up for probably a good 45 minutes. I don't know what the hell these parents and these adults are doing in this town, because kids are going missing like crazy. And I know technology probably wasn't the best back in the 80s, but come on, man. Like, if you notice all these kids' limbs are missing and you can't find bodies and stuff, you would kind of like put two and two together, like, hey, all these kids are like getting jacked by the sewer. I'm not understanding why all this is happening and why we can't investigate. But what winds up happening is that the bigger kid, it's kind of like the chunkier kid, the fat kid of each group. I can relate to him. He winds up getting chased by the bullies, and that's where he meets the rest of the group. And that's when Beverly kind of helps them out as well to get some supplies to help stitch him back. But they all start hanging out in the summertime, and that's when they kind of find out more information about the town and why kids get abducted so much. And it kind of lays the backstory for you. Kind of helps further along the plot instead of kids just getting jacked and getting the shit scared out of them. Anyway, they find out enough information to where they realize all this activity is happening at this well house. It's abandoned. It's really creepy looking. What's super creepy, though, is I didn't expect it, is that they start playing a slideshow of the main kid's family. And the picture is his dad, his mom, him, and Georgie. They're standing in front of a church or something, but the wind is going over the mother's hair. And then as the slideshow keeps playing, it comes back and it's Pennywise's face, but he like comes through the projector, like through the screen, and like just starts scaring the crap out of the kids. And finally the one kid's like, screw this, we're gonna go and we're gonna confront this guy. We're gonna go beat him. So they go together. As I mentioned, the main kid has a stutter, but he's giving his speech right before they go into the movie, and the one kid, Richie, who is by far the most hilarious kid I've ever seen in a movie. It's freaking obnoxious how much I was laughing. This kid he just kept me rolling. And I think that really helped out too, because like I said, I'm a wuss with scary movies, and having that comedy relief definitely helps, especially when I'm like doing this every 10 minutes when something's about to jump out at me. But he doesn't stutter. The rest of the kids are super freaked out because they want to be the lookout. So 3 of them go in. Of course, they get separated, and that's how it feeds on them. They get them separated and feeds on their fears. But they barely make it out. They band together and start beating the crap out of Pennywise, and he's weakened, obviously. They find out that he's not as powerful if they're just not afraid of him, because they find out that what they're seeing, their fears, it's not real. And then of course the one kid's arm gets broken, and his mom, who was just a nutcase by herself, takes him to the hospital, and she blames all of the kids for what happened. And so the kids wind up fighting and getting separated and all this other stuff. So that kind of leads into the next part. The next scene you see is all the kids are separated. They're all kind of like doing their own thing. Nothing has happened around the town. Nobody's getting abducted, anything like that. And then you flash forward to Beverly. She's getting ready to leave her house because, she's been hanging out with the group of boys. And her father like grabs her by the hand and says, "Are you doing womanly things with these boys down there in the woods?" And she's like, "No." And he like touches her face, super creepy, and says, "Tell me you're still my little girl." And she like waylays this dude, and I was like, "Hey girl, you kick his ass." So she finally runs off into the bathroom, and he comes chasing after her. He kicks down the door, pulls back the shower curtain. She takes the lid of the toilet seat and just cracks him across the face.
One thing, though, you never find out if he died or not. Like, it's pretty assumptive that he's laying there on the ground, his head's split open.
But all of a sudden, you turn around, she's trying to escape, and it is right there and grabs her by the throat. Like, you did not see that coming. In the next scene, you see Billy, the main character. I'm sorry, I forgot his name earlier. He, apparently him and Beverly were supposed to meet somewhere because they've been hanging out more. He notices that she doesn't show up, so he goes to her place. And he's looking for...
Dad is still just laid up on the ground, head split open, blood spilling everywhere. He's like, whatever.
But he goes into her room, and in blood on the walls it says, "If you try, you die." Apparently that's a warning from Pennywise for him to stay away. But he winds up getting all the group back together. The band's back together, guys. Yeah, they're going to go with the final showdown and try to go whoop up on Pennywise. So they go back to the well house for the final showdown. They start going down the well. And then finally the main bully kid, who I forgot to mention, freaking kills his dad. Just basically takes a knife and drags it into his neck while he's taking a sleep, while Pennywise is on the TV telling the kid to kill everybody, basically. Yeah, well, yeah, real
father-son bonding right there.
But so finally, as the last kid is about to go down the well with the rope, the bully kid, I can't remember his name, Mullet Kid, that's what I called him the whole movie. He shows up and starts trying to kill the kid. Mike, I think is his name. He pins him down and gets ready to take this this gun that you see in the farms that you shoot into like cows and sheep's heads and stuff like that. He's getting ready to pull the trigger. He knocks it out just in time. Then the gun goes off, and then Mike grabs a rock and just cracks him across the face, and then basically just football tackles him into the well, and that's the last you see of the bully kid. So all the kids are together because they're going to try to save Beverly, and then of course one kid gets separated and starts getting attacked, but they get to him just in time. And then Billy sees his little brother Georgie run through the sewers, so he starts chasing him. And then they come out into the main like freaking sewer room where you see all these kids floating, and Beverly's right there floating. Pennywise tried to get her to fear him. So finally you have this confrontation with Billy and Georgie, where Georgie's like, just take me home. And then Billy says, I would love nothing more than to take you home. And he tries to go in for a hug, and then he takes that same little gun out and pulls the trigger on him. He says, but you're not Georgie. And then shoots him. And then Pennywise, the kid Georgie is Pennywise, and then he like distorts himself, gets all crazy looking, and then Pennywise starts trying to attack him. At this point, the kids have saved Beverly, and they just start beating the crap out of Pennywise, and it's awesome. Love it. And then finally, they get him backed up by another well, and then Billy tells him, you're the one that's afraid now. And he said that's the reason why you couldn't kill Beverly, is because she wasn't afraid of you. And Pennywise starts just muttering some stuff, and you kind of see him like break into fragments, and he just falls down the well, assuming he's dead. And then the next scene, you see all of the kids together, and they make a pact that if it ever comes back, then they will come together and stop him. So definitely dark and foreboding for sure. And then Billy gets to kiss the girl, and then that's the end of the movie. An 8 out of 10. I thought it was really good. I didn't feel like it was a 2-hour movie because it actually kept the plot rolling really good, which is what I like. Even if it's not a scary movie, I like the plot keep going and going, and it doesn't feel like it drags on. A lot of movies that I go see these days, it feels like, okay, we get to like the hour 20 mark, okay, you know, I'm ready for the movie to end because it's just been dragging on for probably a good 30 minutes now. But this movie didn't do that. It was it was definitely more, I think, more of a coming of age story, I think, for kids growing up versus a horror movie. That's just my interpretation. Stephen King always does a really good job of interweaving storylines and not making it just about the jump scares or making it just about, you know, the scary aspect of it, which I really appreciate. So 8 out of 10. I would definitely recommend you guys to go check it out. Even a softie like me made it through the movie, and I only, you know, freaked out a few times, you know, even though there was a few times where I was, you know, doing the old cover up because I knew something crazy was about to happen. I think it's a really good beginning movie for people to get into Stephen King's movies. Obviously, it's not his, you know, not the best adaptation of it, adaptation of a Stephen King book. I think The Shining is definitely up there. It's probably top 5 because, you know, there's some good adaptations of it and there's some really bad adaptations of Stephen King stuff. You know, it's definitely up there top 5. I think it's for sure up there. Green Mile, The Shining, and I know I'm probably forgetting a few. You guys probably know. But yeah, 8 out of 10, and I would definitely recommend to go see it.